everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Reeti and I'm back with another lecture in the DBMS series. So in the last couple of lectures we learnt about normalization, types of normalization and much more things. In this particular video we are starting with a very new topic, that is transaction and concurrency control in DBMS. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now the word transaction may be familiar to many of you. Consider that I want to transfer some money to my friend, and once the payment is successful, I often get the message as transaction is successful. Consider that I am ordering something online, and once the payment is successful here, again I get the message as transaction is successful. So you can understand it in this way, that transaction is basically a collection or combination of some database operations like read, write, commit, rollback, which is used to perform a specific task. So transaction is a logical unit of work that comprises of one or more database operations like read, write, commit, rollback to perform that particular unit of work. So consider there is a person A who wants to transfer 50 rupees to person B. So this is a transaction which is happening here. Now transaction have read as well as write operations, and then there are commit and rollback. So we will be learning about commit and rollback in next set of slides, but let's learn about read and write operation. So a read operation involves retrieving or fetching the data from the database. So whenever we are retrieving or fetching some values from the database, we call it as read operation. It is often denoted by R. Now coming to write operation. So a write operation in transaction involves modifying the data in the database. So whenever we need to modify or update the data in the database, we use this write operation. So it is denoted by W. So let's come back to this example again. Now A wants to transfer 50 rupees to B. So what are the things we need? So first we need what is the current bank balance of A. Consider that if A is having only 20 rupees, would he be able to transfer 50 rupees to B? No. So we need to fetch the current bank balance of A. So first we will do a read operation on A, which is fetching the current bank balance of A from the database. So consider that right now A is having 100 rupees. So we have fetched the current bank balance of A from the database. Now we have to perform this arithmetic operation where we will be deducting 50 rupees from A's current balance. So that would be 100 minus 50. That is 50 rupees. Now A's current balance is 50 rupees. So we have to update this value in our database. But before updating, we need to know that if this particular amount has been transferred to B or not. Consider that we have updated the value of A, but at some point B does not receive 50 rupees. So there will be data inconsistency. So what happens is we do a write operation, we do a modify operation, but this particular write operation goes ahead and update the value 50 in the transaction logs, or you can say a shared memory. So before commit, if there is any operation which happens in a transaction, always go to the transaction log or log records. So this value would be updated in the log records. Now coming to B, again we need to know that what is the current value or current bank balance of B. So we'll do a read operation on B. So it will give me the current bank balance of B, consider 50 rupees. So we have got the current bank balance of B. Now we need to add 50 rupees to B's balance. So we'll do an arithmetic operation. So it will add 50 rupees to current B balance, that is 100 rupees. Now we need to update this value as well in the database. So we will do W of B. This will be W of A. So it will update the value to 100 rupees. Again, this will go ahead and get saved in the transaction logs. We are not saving or updating the value in the database yet. Now we know that all the operations have been successful. The arithmetic operations and everything have been successful. Then we will perform a commit operation. Commit says that if all the operations have been successfully done, then go ahead and update the value in the database. So commit will read everything from the log records, and once log records see the commit, it will go ahead and delete all the log records and it will get updated in the database. So this is how the transaction happens. So here also there is an example. Consider we are using the Swiggy app, we are ordering something, we go to the payment page, we enter the bank details and we get the OTP. There could be two scenarios. One, there is some network issues or failure. Second, there is no network failure. So when there is no network failure, the order is done, the payment is successful and the transaction is complete. But once there is a network failure which is encountered, there could be two cases. One, the amount is deducted from your bank account. Second, the amount is not deducted from your bank account. So there is a rollback which comes into picture, which says that if at any point there is any failure which is encountered in the transaction before commit, what we do is we roll back it to its original state, so that if there is any amount which is deducted, you will get a message that you will be getting credited this particular amount in your bank balance within 7 days or within 24 hours, because that is a rollback step which is applied. So if you are entering your OTP and some amount is deducted from your account, but still the order is not completed or the order is not done, you will get that particular amount back in your bank balance, or you will get that particular amount refunded. So consider an example of a banking application where a customer Ram wants to transfer 100 rupees to Shyam. So let's see all the steps which we discussed here only, but let's see how these steps execute. So the step 1 is we have to begin the transaction. The step 2 is the application will fetch or read the current balance of Ram, since Ram wants to transfer 100 rupees to Shyam. So we'll fetch the current bank balance of Ram. So that would be read of Ram. Now the step 3 is the application will calculate the new balance after the transfer. So that would be current balance of Ram minus 100 rupees. So consider right now Ram is having 200 rupees. So we have to deduct 100 rupees from current bank balance of Ram. That would be 100 rupees. So we have performed the arithmetic operation. Now the step 4 is we have to update it in the temporary storage or transaction logs. That is W of Ram, that is write of Ram. So why we are updating it in the temporary storage or transaction logs? Because consider that if we are deducting something from Ram balance, this particular amount should be transferred to Shyam. If at any point while transferring there is a failure which has happened, so we need to take care that if the transaction is successful, only then go ahead and update in the database. Before that, update it in the transaction log so that we have logs of everything, but we are not updating any inconsistent data in the database. Now the step 5 is the application will fetch and read the current bank balance of Shyam. Then step 6 is the application will calculate the new balance of Shyam after the transfer. Consider Shyam is having 100 rupees. So after the transfer, Shyam is having S plus 100, that is 100 plus 100, that is 200 rupees. Now the step 7 is we have to update it in the temporary storage or transaction log, that is W of Shyam, since we are modifying the data. Now step 8 is if all the updates are successful, at all these steps everything is successful and there was no failure and there are no errors, commit the transaction to make the changes permanent. So we have to perform a commit operation at the end of transaction so that all the changes are permanent and it's updated in our DB. So it will go ahead and update in our DB. Logs are maintained till the occurrence of commit. After that, log files are deleted and database is updated. So before the commit, all the log files and everything is maintained, but once it encounters commit, it deletes all the log file and it goes in and update in the database. Now the step 9 is if an error occurs during any step, roll back the transaction to revert the changes made within the transaction, that is rollback. So consider at any step from step 1 to step 7, there is any issues which we have encountered or the transaction has failed because of network failures, data failures or things like that. So what we have to do is we have to perform a rollback so that everything is reverted back to its original state and there is no data inconsistency which is present in our database. So rollback is often introduced whenever we encounter error or any issues at any point of the transaction. So this is all about the steps involved in the transaction. So considering the last example, let's learn about transaction state. So this was the transaction log for the last example. First we begin the transaction, then we read the value from Ram, then we do the arithmetic operation, then we write in Ram, then we read the value of Shyam, we do the arithmetic operation, we update the value of Shyam, then we do commit so that all the data is pushed into the database if everything is successful, and we perform rollback if we encounter any issues still here. So the case 1 is where all the operations are successful and we are updating the data into the database. So the very first step is the active state. So the active state occurs that whenever the transaction is begin and we start performing the database operations, at that particular moment the active state occurs. So here you can see that before commit, whatever is the operation which is being performed, we say it as a partially committed state, because if at this point there is any failure encountered, we roll back the entire transaction, or if at this point there is a success occurred, so we commit the transaction. So we call it as partially committed state. Now coming to commit, so this is a successful state. We can say now we have come to a successful state and now we can update the data into our database. And then after rollback there is a completed state. The transaction is completed. Now coming to case 2 where we encountered some failures during the transaction. So again, when we are reading the value, it's the active state. After the begin statement, whatever operation we are performing is the active state. If before the commit operation, whatever operation is getting performed, if it fails somehow, then we call it as a failed state. And then commit state is called as cancelled or rollback state, because we don't commit, we rather roll back. So if there is any issue which is encountered at this stage, we come to rollback. If not, then we come to commit. So we will cancel or roll back and then the transaction is completed. Even though it's failure, but the transaction has been completed. Now we again need to do the transaction. So these are all the states which are involved in a transaction. Let's learn about concurrency control. So concurrency control ensures that multiple transactions can run concurrently without compromising the data consistency. So if there are two transactions T1 and T2, it ensures that T1 and T2 can run concurrently or parallelly without compromising the data consistency. That is, data should be similar for both the transactions. There shouldn't be any data inconsistency. So consider an example where there is a banking system where two transactions are happening concurrently or parallelly. So Ram is giving 100 rupees to Shyam and Shyam is giving 50 rupees to Ram. So the data should be consistent for both the transactions, because if Ram is giving 100 rupees to Shyam, we have to deduct 100 rupees from Ram's current balance. And if Shyam is giving 50 rupees to Ram, we have to deduct 50 rupees from Shyam's bank balance. So these two are happening concurrently and as part of the same values. So we can say that the data should be consistent as part of this concurrency control. So if there are two transactions T1 and T2, and if as part of T1 also we are updating some value, and if part of T2 also we are updating some value, the data should be consistent. It shouldn't be a case that if we are updating some value here, then we are going here and reading the same value and then updating the new value. It shouldn't be the case. The transaction should be isolated of each other. So if there are any concurrent or parallel transaction, that should happen without any hindrance to the data consistency. So there are some techniques which are often used to manage the concurrency control. First is locking, second is two-phase locking, and third is timestamp ordering. So we can use these techniques to manage the concurrency control in our database. So this was all about transaction and concurrency control in the database. I hope you like this video. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're someone who is new to my channel, can go ahead and watch out the tech content first. And if you find it useful, can go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you have not followed me on my social media handles, you can go ahead and follow. The links are in the description. Till then, take care, keep learning, keep growing, keep smiling. Bye all.